You know what my solution to the zombie apocalypse is? Everyone's getting a gun. Musings over FPS games, Episode 1, with bizzare3457. Hello YouTube. So if you haven't been watching my channel, scheduling's kind of been odd. My past 6 videos have all been about either World of Warcraft, Joseph Kony and the Kony 2012 incident, or Sopa and Pippa. I haven't actually made anything related to first-person shooter games in a while, so I have decided to create a Musings series similar to my series for World of Warcraft. But this is specifically for first-person shooter games. So for Episode 1, we're going to be talking about unlocks, the progression of unlocks, the customization, the playstyle variety. And I'm mainly going to use Battlefield games as an example. You could apply the same principles to Call of Duty 2, but I'm going to start with Battlefield since I want to start with weapon unlocks. So I dislike the linear unlock chain that seems to be used in every game recently. Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, the past 9,000 Call of Duty games. Everything is unlocked in a linear manner. It feels like player choice is being removed more and more as time goes on, and we've reached the point where developers feel that we're so stupid we can't be trusted with the free choice of picking our own equipment in-game. Now maybe I just come from a different era and a different time, playing the original Call of Duty 2, Battlefield 2 and Battlefield 2142, but I prefer the old system that we had, and I have my own ideology on how unlocks should be handled, and in this video I'm going to share that with you. Now, I first mentioned my ideology on it about a year ago, for those of you who have been around for a while, but now I'm going to go into more detail. So not many people like the currently existing linearity, and I imagine this is mainly because you have less freedom and less options than you did in games 6 or 7 years ago. People don't like having their freedom of choice taken away, and this is especially important in first-person shooter games because weapons and kits are supposed to be sufficiently different, so that you don't have a lot of people all running around with the same kit and the same weapons matching one another. The linear system like this restricts creativity and restricts individuality. If you're watching this video, you've probably been familiar with the Battlefield 3 unlock style for a while now, but for those of you who aren't, it can be summed up as this. You play as a class, you get class unlocks for that class in a specific order. You play with a specific weapon, you get unlocks for that weapon in a specific order. And you have a general rank-up tree, which you get unlocks for in a set order. There's no deviation from this at all. I'm not exaggerating. Your choices for what weapons and items you would like next are limited to which class you'd like to play as. Personally, I just don't think this is the best way to manage an unlock style. There's only one perceivable reason to actually structure unlocks in this manner, and that's to make it easier to balance weapons, by making things linear and making more powerful stuff unlocked later. But ultimately, that's like only having a couple of weapons with various upgrades to it, rather than really having different weapons. By that definition, Battlefield 3 has less unlocks than the much older Battlefield 2142. At least most of the unlocks in Battlefield 2142 were sufficiently different, and usually not direct upgrades to another weapon or kit item. I thought that with time and technology we should have more weapons and more variety and more options to do within the game, not less. So here's my philosophy on how unlocks should be structured, and I'm going to try and draw some pictures using Windows Paint to see if I can better illustrate my points. Okay, here's what I do. I call this variety style. Rip off the phrase, use it as much as you like. So what I do is when a new player is jumping into the game for the first time, they get a notification that they have to look at once they log in. This notification explains to the new player how all the unlocks work. It's explained to the player that there are no starting weapons or starting kit items, but each new player starts with an unlock token, and you need to spend your unlock token on a weapon of your choice. But you can spend the token on any weapon in the game, and you're shown a list of all the weapons, and you get to pick your first gun no matter what it is. Now, the token can only be spent on a weapon because you need a weapon to start with, and the way the game works is all the weapons and kit items like the defibrillator to revive teammates or C4 explosives are all purchased with an unlock point currency that you get from playing games. You basically would move your character to an in-game shopping center in which you can try out the various weapons and attachments before purchasing them, kind of like, having some RPG elements. But the point is that all the practical items in the game, weapons, weapon attachments, kit equipment, they are all purchasable with unlock points at level 1. So when you go into your first online match and earn a few unlock points, you can get whatever you want. You can go buy a pistol or a different weapon or a kit item like C4 or whatever. Give the player the freedom of choice. The main counterpoint presented to this idea is, well, if the player is given choice, then they will only pick the most overpowered weapon and any progression is lost. And my response to that is that this is clearly the fault of lazy development if that's the case. This wasn't a problem in Battlefield 2142, which had far more customization than Battlefield 3, because each weapon and kit item was sufficiently different. People don't need or care about having 10 different assault rifles if 2 of them are direct upgrades to the other 8. That's like only having 2 assault rifles. We'll be happy starting with 5 instead of 10 if the guns are sufficiently different it can be modified enough. In short, if you're spending development time adding in weaker versions of the same gun that have just been reskinned, just so that you can claim that you have more unlocks and more weapons, you're making the game wrong. So how would I manage a single weapon's progression? Since all of them can be unlocked at level 1, there has to be some form of weapon progression, right? Well, here's how I would do it. So let's say you're picking your first weapon and you're unlocking a sniper rifle. Let's say you picked a 5-round bolt-action sniper rifle that can one-shot to the head, but can't one-shot someone to the torso. Are you going to be able to upgrade the bullets to one-shot someone to the torso? No. You'd be able to get an extension to the magazine, upgrade that to maybe a 10-round clip instead of 5, maybe change ammunition types to be better able to penetrate walls or something, get a different scope or other stuff like that. And yes, the sniper rifle holding 10 rounds will be better than the same rifle holding 5 rounds, but it's not better so far as to become overpowered. Not having to reload as often is a convenience, not a necessity. Now, if we turn around and look at the commando perk from Modern Warfare 2, if you were knifing, this is a necessity, because it increased your melee range by about 10 yards. If you got into a knife fight with someone who had commando and you didn't, you had no chance to win. If you have your 5-round sniper rifle against someone who has 10 rounds, you can still take them down. So the weapon is better when upgraded, but not overpowered. Now, not everyone snipes, so let's use a submachine gun example. I was thinking the Thompson submachine gun. Let's say the default gun, when you first unlock it, starts with a 20-round magazine. You can unlock 3 different clip extensions for it. The first is a flat upgrade that increases 20 to 30. The second is a double mag attachment that increases the clip size to 40, but slows rate of fire a little. And the third is a drum magazine that has 50 rounds and doesn't have a slower rate of fire, but the drum magazine adds in the chance for the weapon to jam. Now, all 3 of these are attachments just for the magazine, but these 3 are sufficiently different to the point that different players will want different ones. Some might like the risk-reward of the drum, some might favor the consistency of the extended mag, and some might like the middle ground with the double mag. When you have unlocks that are simply bullet B does more damage than bullet A, obviously no one is going to want to use bullet A anymore. So the Tommy Guns example is how I think weapon upgrades should be handled. And you can still die to someone who just unlocked their Tommy Gun and has a 20-round magazine. So that's how I would manage weapon attachments. You can, if you have the unlock points, say purchase a Tommy Gun and purchase the drum magazine attachment for it. Or you could get the dual mag. It doesn't matter what order you want to do things in. You should be able to spend your unlock points where you want them. You earned them, after all. And that brings up another issue. In Battlefield 3, people are deterred from playing a new class because their class is inherently weaker due to the lack of, say, an assault kit's defibrillator. Now, in Battlefield 2142, assaults didn't start with a defibrillator either, but you could spend unlock points you earned from, say, playing Recon, and spend them on upgrading your assault kit before you played assault. And that way, the first time you play assault, you can have your defibrillator. I see nothing wrong with this, and I think it will add to the game's longevity by encouraging more people to try different classes. So that feature would come back, in my opinion. I also don't like the idea that weapons can have a limit to the amount of attachments you can put on them. Obviously, you can't fit multiple scopes on or multiple magazine extensions, but the idea that you have to choose between, say, in Battlefield 3, a tactical light or a laser sight seems unreasonable to me. The weapon should be able to be taken to its fullest potential by allowing all sorts of upgrades and customizations. And don't tell me, oh, it will make the person's gun OP. No, it won't. If it would make it OP, then that's an inherent sign of lazy development. It's not the game's fault for being lenient. If I work hard for my gun, and I play with it a lot, and I drop a lot of unlock points that I worked for into this gun, I expect to be able to take it to its maximum potential, not to have an artificial glass ceiling because the developers were drunk monkeys. Now that we've talked about what unlock points can get you, let's talk about cosmetics. I strictly disagree with the idea that practical items can be purchased via microtransaction and real-life currency, so I think that it's best to confine that to the cosmetic department. That said, not all cosmetics should be microtransaction-based, and it's sad that I have to say this, but most people can't seem to understand the meaning of the word moderation. It's okay to have some weapon skins for people who pre-order or whatever. It's not okay to include a new skin that offers better camouflage, like what happened in Bad Company 2, and offer it as DLC because that's a practical upgrade. It's also not okay to bind all cosmetics to microtransactions. If I use a gun a lot as my main weapon, I want some sort of displayable reward for it. Call of Duty used weapon skins. Fine, steal their idea. Add in weapon skins for people who pre-order, but also add in different, keyword different, weapon skins for people who earned them by actually playing the game. Don't make these rewards shared with each other, or else you take away its meaning. One skin is a reward for pre-order, one skin is a reward for proficiency. That's the way it should be. Don't be lazy and declare one skin to be the reward for both. If I get 250 headshots with a sniper rifle, give me a nice looking weapon skin for that sniper rifle. If I shoot the drivers out of vehicles, give me another nice skin. If I do both of these significant activities, give me a third skin. Add in variety with the cosmetics. Make them have some sort of meaning and make them be unique. And make it so that if they lose the round, they don't get progression on the achievement. And if people boost for it, hit them with a ban hammer. And don't tell me your art team can't handle the workload, just look at how many skins there were in Call of Duty Black Ops. That and the art developers usually have to sit on their hands doing nothing for a couple of months pre-launch anyway. At least this way they can do something and not be threatened with losing their jobs. EA, I'm looking at you. So all in all, I would make it so that all the practical benefits can be unlocked by any player in whatever order they so desire. If they want to sink all their points into one weapon, it should be their right to do so. If they want an unupgraded weapon and want to sink all their early points into kit upgrades, let them do it. If all they want is a really fancy pimped out pistol like the Model 1776 single shot pistol that I recommended almost a year ago, let them do it. Don't try telling me that by having this kind of variety you remove progression. That isn't true, because we had similar unlock styles back in Battlefield 2 and Battlefield 2142, and it worked out fine. We even had boosters back in Battlefield 2, if you can believe that, and there were no cosmetics at the time, and it happened without the linear treadmill. Except back in Battlefield 2, I could fly low and decapitate them by road killing them with a jet. Fun times, fun times. So that's my philosophy on unlocks, kit upgrades, weapon upgrades, and the linear and non-linear progression path. That's what I think about how things should be done. I'm curious how other people will feel on the topic. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about my variety style. Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's reasonable? Would you play a game that used it? I'll see you next time.